Hockey is the sport of the 90s. The agility of the athletes and the spontaneity of the game are key ingredients why sports fans are flocking to arenas throughout the United States and Canada. The New Jersey Devils invite you to join us for a look at the coolest game on earth. We'll show you the tremendous growth of the National Hockey League, the tradition behind the Stanley Cup, and a personal look at the New Jersey Devils organization and players. Hockey provides non-stop action. At a Devils hockey game, you'll find yourself getting caught up in the excitement. Emotions run high. Every great save by goaltending tandem Martin Brodeur and Chris Terreri brings a roar from the crowd. It is a 60-minute roller coaster ride with no seatbelt required. So make yourself comfortable and sit back to enjoy NHL history, Stanley Cup tradition, and behind-the-scenes Devils highlights.
Here comes Richer. Step on Richer, fire, score! Ralston lays it for Richer, then to Broughton, who's got it in. Broughton waiting, shoots, score!
The National Hockey League was founded on November 22, 1917, and included 2 teams from Montreal and 1 each from Ottawa, Quebec, and Toronto. The first U.S. team to join the NHL was the Boston Bruins in 1924. Within 2 years, what came to be known as the original 6 teams were in place throughout North America. They were the Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins, Chicago Blackhawks, Detroit Red Wings, and New York Rangers. Hockey remained stable through the 70s and into the 80s. The arrival of the 90s brought an explosion of hockey throughout the U.S. and into such cities as San Jose, Dallas, Anaheim, Tampa Bay, and Miami. There are currently 26 teams in the NHL, and these 26 teams are divided into 2 conferences. The Western Conference consists of the Pacific and Central divisions, while the Eastern Conference is comprised of the Northeast and Atlantic divisions. At the conclusion of the regular season, the top 8 teams in each conference qualify for the playoffs. These 16 teams skate their way toward the ultimate prize in hockey, the Stanley Cup. Donated by Lord Stanley of Preston in 1893, the Stanley Cup is the oldest and most celebrated trophy of the 4 major sports. Since 1910, the Stanley Cup has been the symbol of professional hockey supremacy. It has long been coveted by NHL teams and has brought tears of joy to all playoff champions, as every member of a Stanley Cup championship team has their name permanently inscribed on the trophy.
And Lafleur is going after it, right out in front, they shoot, they score! Lemaire! And the Canadiens win the Stanley Cup! The Montreal Canadiens have won the Stanley Cup, sweeping the Boston Bruins in 4 straight games.
Several factors have contributed to the growth of hockey in the United States. Who can forget the 1980 Miracle on Ice, when the U.S. Olympic ice hockey team captured the gold medal in Lake Placid? This memorable feat sparked national interest as Team USA gained new stature in international ice hockey competition. Hockey had started out as a cold weather sport, played on frozen ponds in the middle of winter. But in recent years, the addition of inline skating and street hockey have been new factors in supporting the NHL's rapid rise. Now, fans of all ages can play street hockey right in their own neighborhood. Another growth factor was the influx of European skaters during the 80s, which has now allowed players from 14 different countries to skate on NHL ice. NHL hockey coverage on both the Fox Network and ESPN, along with the marketing of big-name players such as Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, and Eric Lindros, has enabled the NHL to expose the game and its mystique to millions of new households.
The Stanley Cup playoffs on Fox. Last season, they were a goal from heaven. Now, Boston's Big Three look to send them back. But the Bruins better hope they answer those questions between the pipes, or lights out at the Garden just a little bit early.
Fox is doing fine. It's go time.
Speaking of big-name athletes, the Devils have a few of their own, and it all starts with the coaching staff. The Devils today may have the finest coaches in all of professional hockey. Devils head coach Jacques Lemaire received the Jack Adams Trophy as the 1994 NHL Coach of the Year in his first season with the Devils. Lemaire led the Devils to a record-setting 106-point season, second overall in the NHL during the 93-94 campaign. Lemaire, a Hockey Hall of Famer, has 8 Stanley Cup rings as a player and coach with Montreal. In addition, assistant coach Larry Robinson brings 20 years of NHL playing experience and 6 Stanley Cup rings to the Devils. The success of the New Jersey Devils doesn't stop with the coaches. Veteran players such as Scott Stevens, Bruce Driver, John McLean, and Ken Danico have been the driving force in shaping the Devils into a Stanley Cup contender. In 1994, Captain Scott Stevens was named an NHL First-Team All-Star, led the league with a +53 rating, and was runner-up in the Norris Trophy voting for the league's top defenseman. This steady defenseman led the Devils in scoring during the 1993-94 season and continues to demonstrate his leadership qualities.
I like to lead by example on the ice because it's a team sport and it's a very hard-working sport, and if everyone sees me working hard and trying to do the best I can in whatever it takes to win, and they see that, I think that gives everyone else a boost, and they want to do the same thing. People pay money to watch me play, and I want to work as hard as I can for them, and basically I want to win, and it's a team game, and that's what's so much fun about it.
It's not too often that an NHL franchise has one player who plays his entire career with the same team. Well, not only do the Devils have one lifetime player, but 3. Bruce Driver, John McLean, and Ken Danico. Alternate captain Bruce Driver is a sound player who helped the Devils become one of the most cohesive defensive units in the NHL. Driver's on- and off-ice leadership provides a solid foundation for the younger members of the club.
Well, I think there's 2 different kinds of leaders. You know, there's leaders that are very vocal in the locker room and try to get players pumped up before games and things like that. And then there's the leader that's more of a quiet leader, more of a leader on the ice, and he leads by example. I think both types of leaders are important to a hockey team.
Dependable winger and fan favorite John McLean has played in more games than any player in Devils franchise history and leads the club's all-time list with most goals, hat tricks, points, power play goals, and most game-winning goals.
Sorella takes a shot, saved by Pang. Reeves score! They did it! They did it! The Devils make the playoffs for the first time in their history. John McLean, the overtime goal, and they win it 4-3.
Rugged defenseman Ken Danico employs a stay-at-home method of defense as the team continues to frustrate even the top scorers in the league. The firepower of the Devils is apparent in wingers Stéphane Richer, Bill Guerin, and Claude Lemieux. Often referred to as an artist on ice, Richer has one of the fiercest slap shots in all of hockey. In addition, power forward Bill Guerin and aggressive winger Claude Lemieux keep opposing goalies on edge. When looking for a lift, the fans look no further than the Devils' crash line. The crash line plays exhilarating hockey every night. This physical line consists of center Bobby Holik, left wing Mike Peluso, and right wing Randy McKay. Mike Peluso led the NHL in penalty minutes in 1992. And along with McKay and Holik's physical style of play, the crash line intimidates opposing players while inspiring their own teammates. The crash line has been successful because of its work ethic and its tenacity. The Devils' energy and intensity was never more evident than in a 4-overtime battle with the Buffalo Sabres in the opening round of the 1994 playoffs, the 6th longest game in NHL history. The Devils went on to win the series in 7 games. After dropping the first 2 games to the Boston Bruins in the conference semifinals, the Devils reeled off 4 straight wins to advance to the conference finals against their biggest rival, the New York Rangers. The conference final was a series emblematic of the Hatfields and McCoys, and will go down as one of the most intense playoff series in NHL history. The world watched as the Devils took the eventual Stanley Cup champions to 7 games, with 3 of the games ending in double overtime, including the 7th and decisive game at Madison Square Garden.
Back behind the net, driven around by Bukaboom. Driver blocks it, Larmer's on him. Richer centers, stopped by Richter. The Devils score! They have tied it! The Devils have tied it with 7.7 seconds to go! For the second time in the series, the Devils pull their goaltender and tie the game in the last minute.
The future of the Devils looks even brighter when you add the recent success of the Devils Farm Club, the Albany River Rats. The River Rats finished the 1994 season with the best record in the American Hockey League, which is the top developmental league for the NHL. Leading the Rats is head coach Robbie Fatoran, a former head coach of the Los Angeles Kings, now in his 4th season with the Devils. The Rats have some of the best young talent in the AHL, with depth in its defense and 2 of the top goaltenders in the AHL, All-Star goalie Corey Schwab and former U.S. Olympic star Mike Dunham. This group of young players is certain to become an integral part of the Devils' future. Not only do the Devils take pride in the development of players and coaches, but also in the development of hockey throughout the community. Whether it's players, coaches, or front office personnel, the Devils' objective is to reinforce a positive image throughout the marketplace. Players, coaches, and the Devils' mascot make numerous appearances for charitable events, school and church functions, and various group activities. Some of the ongoing appearances include the Devils School Assembly Program, which promotes student awareness of drugs, alcohol, and education. Another way the Devils lend their support and guidance to the community is through hospital visits. Right-wing John McLean and goaltender Chris Terreri have contributed to the community through public service announcements promoting organizations such as Easter Seals and the State Department of Health. Additionally, the Devils Tip a Devil dinner raises over $30,000 annually for local charities. It's this kind of commitment that is creating one of the finest organizations in the National Hockey League as we prepare for the turn of the century. We hope you enjoyed learning about the growth of the National Hockey League and, in particular, the Devils. We invite you to come see for yourself why fans are flocking to NHL arenas and are calling hockey the coolest game on earth.